everybody, we're going to film the Up, Up, and Away lab today. So here are some of the materials you have. You've got test tubes and a test tube rack. You've got bromoethyl blue, funnels, balloons, graduated cylinder. You've got vinegar, and then you have baking soda. So I've already pre-measured the amounts of the baking soda so that this video will go a little bit faster. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to measure out 10 milliliters of vinegar, and you're going to put it into each one of you're going to put it into your own test tube. So I'm going to measure out 10 milliliters of vinegar, and I'm going to put it in each of the 4 test tubes, and we want it to be exactly 10. So I went a little bit over, so I'm going to use my pipette here to take a little bit out, put it back in there, and pour it into the test tube. Okay, I'm going to do that for each one. $10 milliliters. If I go a little bit over, it's okay. Just take that out. Look at it on the table to make sure it's exactly at the 10 milliliter mark with the meniscus. Pour it into my test tube. And I'm going to repeat that for the other 2 test tubes. So the first amount of baking soda I have is 0.18 grams. So I'm going to carefully take that, and I'm going to put that into my balloon, okay? And I'm going to make sure that it all goes down into the bottom part of the balloon. And then I'm going to remove this and attach it to my test tube. So here's my test tube, and I'm going to attach my balloon to my test tube, and I do not want the chemicals mixing yet. So I'm going to let the balloon just hang off the side like this, okay, because the chemical is at the bottom of my balloon, okay, so it'll just hang off the side, and I'm just making sure it's going to stay there, okay. So I'm going to put it like this, and I'm going to put it back on the test tube rack. And I'm going to do the same thing for my other, amounts. So now I'm using a different color balloon, okay, for a different amount of baking soda. I'm going to carefully put it on the funnel. And this one is 0.35 grams. The first one was 0.18 grams. Going to get it all the way down into the balloon. Okay, I'm going to take the balloon off the funnel, and I'm going to put this balloon on the second test tube. Again, I'm just going to stretch it over the top, and I'm not going to let the chemical mix, because the chemical is at the bottom of my balloon there. So I'm just going to let it hang off the side. And then do the same with my third one, which is going to be yellow. See where I'm going with this? It's a little rainbow order. Now this one is 0.70 grams. So we had 0.18, 0.35, 0.7. So each time I'm doubling the amount of baking soda. I gotta be careful with this one because it's a larger amount. Get it into my funnel, shake it all down into my balloon, get it all down to the bottom. Okay. That was just the funnel, it's plastic. Alright, let it hang off the edge, put it back on my test tube rack, and then I'm going to do the last one with my 1.4 grams. Green balloon. So I've got red, orange, yellow, and green. Now in this lab, each one of you would be doing your own balloon. So you would each be responsible for your own test tube and your own balloon. You wouldn't have to do all of this by yourself. Alright, so this is 1.4 grams. So the first one was 0.18, that's the red balloon. Second one was 0.35, that's the orange balloon. Third one was 0.7, yellow balloon. Last one is 1.4, green balloon. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on my test tube. Again, not letting any of the chemicals mix until we are ready. Alright. So you can see now that I've got my red, orange, yellow, and green balloon with my different amount of baking sodas. And it says make sure they are securely attached to the test tubes, lift the balloons one at a time, and let all the chemicals mix. So I'm going to do that. Here's one. You can see all the chemical going in there. Okay. Here's my second one. Getting all the chemical. You can see some bubbling happening. You can see the balloons are filling up. Here's my third one.
Good morning.
And here is my last
is open
one.
for business, and their frozen drinks are back. Brouhaha is open for business. Thank you.
There we go. Ooh. Alright, so we can see the size of each balloon. The red one is the smallest, and then we've got the orange one, which is the second smallest, and then we've got the yellow one. So they're progressively getting larger. The yellow and the green one, they're actually about the same size. This one just looks bigger because it's taller, but the size of the balloon is actually the same. Okay, and the yellow one is still reacting. The yellow and the green one is actually still reacting and producing some gas. So you can see that in the red and the yellow one, the red and the orange one, they've already run out of baking soda. Let me give this guy a little shake. Give this guy a little shake. Okay, so as long as they still bubble, they're still producing gas, and so they're still that's what's inflating the balloons. So what I did here is I added some bromothymol blue to each one of the test tubes. So in the first test tube you can see it turned yellow. The second one also turned yellow. The third one turned green, and the fourth one turned blue. The first and the second ones being yellow mean that there's an acid present, so there's vinegar excess. The third one being green means that it's neutral, so it's a perfect mixture of baking soda and vinegar. And the fourth one, turning blue, means that we have excess baking soda. So what does all this data mean? So in the first test tube, we've got the smallest balloon and the smallest amount of baking soda. So what that means is our limiting reactant was the baking soda, because as we added more baking soda, our balloon got bigger. We got more product. We also tested it with bromothymol blue, and we saw that we had excess vinegar. So our excess reactant was vinegar. Same with the second test tube. Even though we added more baking soda, our limiting reactant was still the baking soda, because when we added more in our third test tube, our balloon still got bigger. So adding more baking soda from the first, second, to third test tube made the balloon bigger. That made more product. So for the first two test tubes, our limiting reactant was baking soda, and our excess reactant was vinegar. And the evidence for that was the size of the balloon and the bromothymol blue. Now in the third test tube, we had the biggest balloon because it was the same size as the fourth test tube. And when we tested this with bromothymol blue, we got a green color. The green color shows that we have the perfect mixture of baking soda and vinegar. So actually in the third test tube we have no limiting reactant. Finally, in the fourth test tube, you saw we have excess baking soda at the bottom. Since we doubled the amount of baking soda but the balloon size remained the same, our limiting reactant was actually the vinegar and our excess reactant was the baking soda. This was shown by having the same balloon size and also by having a blue color than bromothymol blue.